What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, first I want to go over what people are talking about regarding $4 trillion. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute. We're also going to talk about the infrastructure bill, where we're at, the updates on that, what the timeline is looking like. And again, the good news is we could potentially see that this week. The good news there is once we see this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill passed, then that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, well, that could be coming very soon as well. So we got a lot of good news coming. So I'm going to break that down for you right now. First, the Senate, they are working on passing the roughly $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Today, many senators are beginning to argue over whether or not to include a tax on crypto miners. Now, this is something that they are considering having crypto miners exempt from this possible tax. So that's actually providing a big boost to Wall Street as well. Also, this means that we could potentially see less money going to the revenue and the pay-fors from not including this tax. So that's something that we need to look out for as well, because if that is not included, we might see that this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill actually gets dropped and it's a little bit smaller. So as we know more on that, I will fill you in on that update as well. We do know that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he is pledging to keep the Senate in session until both of these bills, the $1.2 trillion bill and the $3.5 trillion infrastructure packages, are both passed. Over the last few days, what we know is that Senator Schumer has said that the Senate is on track to get both of these passed before they go on their August recess, which is actually in 5 days on August 9th. This is this coming Monday. However, today, it sounds like Senator Schumer is taking a step back and saying, you know what, it's going to take a little bit longer than he expected. So there's a good chance that the Senate will remain in session into next week as well. But as we know more on that, I promise I'll fill you in on that update also. This does mean that the Senate will most likely continue to stay in Washington, meaning that we could see additional amendments, we could see additional bills, we could see more fighting. And as the senators lose more and more of their recess and every single day kind of just goes away, they're not going to get it in the end. It's not going to be tacked on to the end when they're supposed to come back on September 13th. They will just lose the days. So that's something that senators do not want at this time. Right now, what we do know is that Senator Bernie Sanders, he is actually working on that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. And according to a few reports, the goal is to have this bill ready so as soon as the bipartisan infrastructure bill passes, they can work on this one next. That's the goal. They're saying right now they do not have time to wait. They do not have any time to waste. They need to get on both of these as soon as possible. And according to Senator Joe Manchin, he says the amendment process could end as soon as Thursday evening. So we're a little over 24 hours away from that. If this happens, he says that the GOP could be ready for a vote come Friday. Okay. And I think that's kind of weird because Joe Manchin is a Democrat, but he's saying that the GOP could be ready as soon as Friday for a vote. Well, great, I guess, as long as we can get this done, get this out of the way. And now a lot of people have been asking in the comments, why am I pushing to see this $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill passed? The reason why I'm pushing for this, and I want to see this passed, is because there's really nothing for the American people in this bill. Okay, there's some things, EV tax credits, right? You know, for charging state, whatever, right? There are certain things in this bill, infrastructure. Some stuff is really going to help, but not today, not tomorrow, not next week. It's not going to happen immediate, okay? It's going to take a little while. So the reason why I'm pushing for this, and I know a lot of you guys are as well, is simply because you want to see this bill pass, because you know in the next bill, that $3.5 trillion American Families Plan, that stimulus package, well, that's where we're going to see all the additional relief, all the assistance, and any additional stimulus that we may get. But here's something else I want to bring to your attention. What we've been hearing lately is that during the pandemic, okay, during this past year and a half, millions and millions of Americans have been just stockpiling cash. We've been very cautious with our spending. It's true. I think I've been a little more frugal over the past year and a half than I have been in the past 5 or 10 years. And it's just because of we don't know if there's anything that's guaranteed at the end. We don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. Well, according to a few studies, the American people have put aside roughly $4 trillion. $4 trillion in the past year and a half. That's a huge amount of money. Okay? However, what we are seeing is that right now the majority of that money has gone to the wealthy. There are reports that say that 80% of that $4 trillion went to the top 20%. And 42% of that $4 trillion went to the top 1%. So do you see how the majority of that $4 trillion is set to the upper income earners, the billionaires, the multimillionaires? Those are the ones that are holding on to the majority of this cash, not the average everyday person. That is not who's holding on to $4 trillion. The majority of Americans, the lower income earners, and even some of the middle income earners, the middle class, they maybe have been able to put a little bit aside, but the majority of people have not. They're actually struggling. They're further behind now than they were during the beginning of this pandemic, which means that they're going the wrong direction. This is why so many economists say that we're seeing a K-shaped recovery. We need to see more. Multiple economists are now saying that the government officials need to just stop using the fact of $4 trillion in savings. Stop bringing up the CEOs of banks and financial institutions and saying that yes, the American people have more money today than they did in the start of the pandemic, because that is not true. The majority of Americans do not have more money today than they did last year. And let me just ask you this. Do you have more money in your bank account today than you did, let's say, last year around March? Do you have more money? You can always answer in the comment section below. You don't have to tell me how much more. Just say, yes, I have more, or no, I don't. It's very simple. And that's what's so frustrating. And this is one of the reasons why many people are recommending that they give more money to the American people. Lawmakers say that yes, we need to provide more. Some say that these programs are still running. The stimulus programs are still providing some assistance. However, in 9 days, the second child tax credit payment, this comes out. This is going to come out on August 13th. This is going to be for $250 to $300 per month. That's great. The unemployment benefits in 24 states, well, these are still active. Student loan payment pause, this is still going to be in effect until October 1st. And nutrition and rental assistance, even though the money is somewhat slow for rental assistance, it's still there and it's still available. That's what we're hearing. But what lawmakers are asking is, what about people on Social Security? What about them? What about people that do not have children? What about those that are not collecting unemployment benefits, however, have taken a pay cut or have accepted a job with reduced hours, which is ultimately a job with a reduced pay? What about them? What about those that are elderly and can't work or don't qualify for additional assistance? What about them? There is a whole host of Americans that do not qualify for any assistance, are trying to work, are on a fixed income, maybe Social Security. What about them? Right now, what we know is that lawmakers are pushing for additional assistance proposals and packages. The problem is that trying to get the moderates on board is going to be almost impossible. Progressives are saying they want to see additional assistance and stimulus checks into both of these bills. However, Republicans will never go for this. And moderates, well, you got to give them something. What we saw the other day is that Senator Joe Manchin's wife, who's part of a committee or a commission, he was able to secure about $1 billion for her committee, her commission. So that's great. Well, maybe that was the reason why he is accepting the fact of this $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill. We don't know, right? We know Mitch McConnell, he's getting like $4 billion for roads and bridges for his state. For his state, he is going to get about $4 billion. Okay? So right there. He's from Kentucky, but he's going to get about $4 billion for his state for roads and bridges, right? That's a pretty substantial amount. Now, what I can tell you is that lawmakers are already talking about letting the unemployment benefits go. That this stimulus proposal, this benefit from the past stimulus package, this will be over. They're talking about how the new proposal from Representative Ilhan Omar, that's going to provide $1,200 to every single American. Well, this is going to go through a trial period for 4 years, but doesn't start for another year if this were to pass. Doesn't start till 2023. It's going to go in for a trial for 4 years. Then on the 5th year, which is technically 6 years away, well, then this bill becomes active. Then all the American people would get a $1,200 guaranteed income check. But until then, it's nothing. It's just a proposal. It's going to do us absolutely no good. We also know, and this was announced yesterday, that the eviction moratorium has been extended for 60 days. That's good. That's really good. But the problem is that some are saying that this isn't legal, that the CDC doesn't have the ability to do this, the authority. And so we could see this go away as quickly as it came. So again, there's more things that are on the horizon, not just stimulus. We could see tax breaks go away. Yesterday, I mentioned how there are some lawmakers that are discussing a possible gas tax, and that this might be the only way to find all the pay-fors for the next bill. But again, we'll have to see what happens. We also know right now that politicians are completely ignoring the debt ceiling that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, she said we need to get this fixed now. She says there's no time to wait. We cannot wait until the last minute like lawmakers continue to do time and time again, which is true. For far too long, lawmakers wait until the last minute to try to pass something. But with many economists saying that the $4 trillion in savings, right, is held by the wealthy, we need to give more to the American people. But yet Janet Yellen says that we need to be cautious because the $1.2 and $3.5 trillion infrastructure packages could make the debt ceiling in the budget, the government budget, a little trickier. So what I can tell you right now is that everybody's looking at the debt ceiling, everybody's looking at the 2 infrastructure packages, and everyone's looking at the COVID cases. Those are the 3 things. If those 3 things don't align and we don't see any success from vaccinations, we don't see any success from the different stimulus packages that are already out, what we're going to see moving forward is not going to be good for the American people. So what I can tell you right now is, as I know more, I promise I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates. One thing I do know is lawmakers are continuing to push forward with additional infrastructure. They will continue to push forward with more stimulus. And what we see as the American people, honestly, I don't know. But once I do know, I will bring you that update. So again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.